share the webinar. I think it is this one, right? Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is four. The ID is 436 right? Yeah. So there are participants, 30 participants I see. So, this is Dr. Sumedha Kashalkar, and apologies for starting the webinar late. I see that we have almost 33 attendees. Uh, so, uh, so this is the webinar for our course in the summer quarter. And I would like to introduce Dr. Shri Ram here. And uh, without any delay, I would like him to start talking because we are already late. I'm so sorry for that. Yes, Shri Ram Ji, please go ahead. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Uh,
Sumedha ji. I hope I'm audible.
Can any, yeah.
Okay.
Can everyone can hear his voice, right? Can someone post it? Yes. Okay, great. Yes, Shri Ram Ji, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thanks all for joining the webinar on the Yoga of the Yoga Sutras. Allow me to begin with the Dhyana Shloka, invocation chant on Maharishi Patanjali. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankhachakrasidharinam Sahasrashirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Shrimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Asmadacharyebhya Sarvebhyo Namo Namaha Om. Once again, thank you everyone for joining the webinar on the Yoga Sutras. And I'd like to do a little bit differently this time. Rather than give a big picture of the Yoga Sutras, because I'm sure that many in the audience already know about or have already studied a little bit or perhaps a lot about the Yoga Sutras. So I'd like to dive in on a very specific topic in the Yoga Sutras and expand upon it so that we gain a deeper understanding about what are some of the specific topics that Maharishi Patanjali has covered, and also to give you an idea about what are the topics we cover during the course, the Yoga of the Yoga Sutras course, which is going to start in the upcoming summer quarter. So when we begin studying the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, one of the things we discover is that yoga is for the mind. And this comes as a surprise and maybe as a shock to many yoga practitioners, because you go to a yoga class and what do? Mostly asanas. And that is only a very thin slice of the broad spectrum of yoga. And Maharishi Patanjali defines yoga. The word yoga definition that he gives is chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga, chitta vritti nirodha. And to give a brief summary of the meaning, yoga is a state where the vrittis, the turbulence or the agitations of the mind have settled down, have subsided. And when that happens, the mind becomes crystal clear. That is the state of yoga, crystal clear state of mind. So elsewhere in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Maharishi Patanjali says, Kshina vrittehe abhijatasya manehe. That means when the vrittis, when the turbulence in the mind have settled down, kshina vritti, very small, they have become very small. Then the mind becomes like abhijatasya mani. Mani means crystal. Abhijatasya means flawless, blemishless crystal. And sometimes we say this when we talk to people, oh, my mind is now crystal clear. And especially a crystal clear state of mind is in a place where it can receive the truth. It is a place where we can, it lends itself for study, swadhyaya, self-inspired study, or to deepen our understanding on any subject or any topic that we wish to experience or express through the form of studies or teaching and so forth. So crystal clear state of mind is the state of yoga. And when we examine our normal states of mind, it is far from a crystal clear state of mind. Sometimes the mind is clouded with confusion. Sometimes the mind is filled with what people call the brain fog. I'm sure all of us have had this experience, right? We have an exam to write, but the mind is not cooperating. It is filled with confused thoughts or perhaps anxiety or negative emotions. And the mind is far from being crystal clear. The mind is foggy. It is filled with brain fog. So how can we transform the mind? So that is the topic that we will take up today. How can we transform the mind? And before we begin on the mechanics of inner transformation, I'd like to mention that all the practices that we do in yoga, including the postures, the yoga asanas, including pranayama, the breath work, the many kriyas or cleansing activities, all the 8 limbs of the Ashtanga yoga, all practices we do to achieve this final goal of transforming the mind to a place of crystal clear state. So when the chitta vrittis have subsided and the mind becomes so pure, blemishless crystal. So all the practices that we do, including yoga asanas, should serve this ultimate objective. So asanas in the context of yoga are not just for gaining flexibility or developing strength in the body. They're all fringe benefits or secondary benefits, but we should never lose sight of the primary goal of yoga, which is to transform a turbulent mind to a tranquil mind so that the mind can become crystal clear. And we are going to see the mechanics of how this transformation is achieved. So that will be the main topic of this webinar. In fact, Maharishi Patanjali enumerates 3 inner transformation, not just one, but 3 types of inner transformation. And that is what we will see today. So I have made some slides to share, and I'm going to share the slides on the screen. Okay. So the topic for today is a small step in yoga and a giant leap of inner transformation. So how is this inner transformation achieved? So why do we need inner transformation? So let us start with an example of coal and a diamond. You see, the same form of an element, carbon, can express itself in many ways. You can see carbon as a black whole, or in the form of other allotropes. These are the different allotropes of carbon. And diamond is also a form of carbon. So the carbon can manifest itself in its various allotropes. And when we ask ourselves, what is the most precious, what is the most valuable state of carbon? Clearly, the crystal clear state of a diamond, the most precious state, most valuable state, is what we would like to possess. If I have some carbon, I would like it to be in the form of a diamond so that there is more value in what I have. Like that, the mind, our human mind, the instrument that we have, can either be in a place of confusion. So the mind is agitated with turbulent thought, or perhaps it is clouded with brain fog. And we would like to transform the mind into a crystal clear state of mind. So it's the same mind. So how can we transform the mind from a confused mind or agitated mind or turbulent mind into a state of mind that is pure, crystal clear, that reveals the truth to us? So whatever we perceive from outside, if there is brain fog, we don't understand it fully. We don't see the truth fully. The truth is obfuscated, or the truth is distorted when there is too much rajoguna in the mind. When the mind is turbulent, we see things differently. We see things differently. As they say, the beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Perhaps we could say the beauty lies in the mind of the beholder. So what state of mind that we have in this moment? If the mind is disturbed, we see everything else as different, distorted. So that is the picture that the mind presents to us. So how can we transform the mind? So I hope I've given a good sales pitch for how to transform this mind. I hope everyone is ready to hear about what Patanjali says about this inner transformation. So the same mind, how can we transform it into the most valuable, most precious state? So for that, Patanjali describes three parinamas. So this is a technical term that we see in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. The word parinama means change or transformation. Parinama, transformation. So there are three types of inner transformation that Maharishi Patanjali talks about. So what are the three inner transformation? They are called Nirodha Parinama, Ekagrata Parinama, and Samadhi Parinama. Three inner transformations. So what is Nirodha Parinama? It is a transformation that changes a turbulent mind into a tranquil mind. So that is the first transformation. Change a turbulent mind into a tranquil, peaceful mind, quiet mind. The second transformation is Ekagrata Parinama. Transform a scattered mind into a one-pointed, focused mind. That is the second transformation, Ekagrata Parinama. So my teacher used to say that when the mind is all over the place, when the mind is in pieces, there is no peace of mind. When the mind is in pieces, there is no peace of mind. So there is value in consolidating our awareness in one place. Otherwise, there is a tug of war that is tearing the mind apart. Different parts of our awareness are in different places, and the mind is being torn because it is scattered. It is in different pieces. So when we unite the mind, in fact, one of the definitions of yoga is to unite, bring together and unite in harmony. So when we unite all pieces of our awareness in one place and focus it on one object, then this ekagrata parinama has been achieved. So it is the change that transforms a scattered mind into a one-pointed, focused mind. And there's the third parinama. The third transformation is samadhi parinama. Sama means equilibrium or balanced. The mind when it is in an equanimous state. And in fact, there are technical definitions of the state of samadhi that we will examine in great detail during the course. So for now, samadhi we will interpret or translate as an equanimous state of mind. Bhagavad Gita uses the word samatvam, equanimous state of mind. So Samadhi Parinama is the transformation that changes an agitated mind that is going through ups and downs. Mind is going through a roller coaster ride. So when you transform this roller coaster ride of the mind into a equanimous state of mind, that is the third parinama. That is the third transformation. Again, I'm going to quote my teacher. He used to call this as transforming a yo-yo mind into a yoga mind. Transforming a yo-yo mind into a yoga mind. So when the mind is going, sometimes it's elated, sometimes it's depressed, and we go through these cycles in the roller coaster of emotions. But we would like to be in a place of centeredness where no input from outside or no words from others can hurt us or can perturb that state of equilibrium. Or even if the mind gets perturbed from equilibrium, we can quickly get back to our center. We have the tools, we have the practices that can bring the mind back to samadhi. So these are the three transformations that we will examine. In fact, the mechanics of all the three transformations are very similar. So I'm going to take one of these transformations as an example, and let's see what Patanjali has to say about it. So I'm going to take the example of the first one, transforming a turbulent mind into a tranquil mind. This is called Nirodha Parinama. Nirodha Parinama. So Patanjali gives us a very beautiful picture of how to understand this inner transformation. So he says, our mind has two opposing tendencies. These are called the two samskaras. Samskaras or habits in our mind. Habits that we have been entertaining from all our past actions and experiences. And in fact, Patanjali says past actions not just in this lifetime, but from all our previous lifetimes as well. They've etched the samskaras in the mind. And he alerts us to this very interesting point. There are opposing samskaras, samskaras that are in opposition. And in this example, when we are talking about Nirodha Samskara, Nirodha Parinama, the transformation of changing the turbulent mind into a tranquil mind, there are two opposing samskaras that we have to deal with. One samskara is called Vyuthana Samskara. Vyuthana Samskara is the tendency of the mind towards turbulence that encourages agitated state of mind or turbulent state of mind. That is called Vyuthana Samskara. Opposed to that is Nirodha Samskara, the habit of the mind or the tendency of the mind that promotes tranquility. So we have this tug of war that is happening between turbulence and tranquility. Turbulence and tranquility. So these are the two ends of the spectrum. And depending on what is the state of the mind right now, it depends on which of these tendencies are stronger, right? Which of the two teams of this tug of war game is stronger. And in fact, there are many legends that capture this picture of the two samskaras that are opposition to each other, like the famous legendary stories in the Puranas, where the Devas and Asuras, they churned this big mountain and they produce the elixir, they produce the Amrita by churning this ocean, churning this mountain on the ocean, on the back of a big turtle. So you have these opposing samskaras and they are churning our mind, two opposing samskaras. Now, which of the two samskaras, which of the two tendencies is stronger? And the answer is, which tendency have we been encouraging all this time? So which of these two tendencies have we fed? Which is fed more through our awareness or through our actions? So whatever we feed becomes stronger. So when we keep on encouraging Vyuthana Samskara, whenever we get a chance, allow the mind to be turbulent rather than being tranquil, then we are making the Vyuthana Samskara stronger. So the solution is simple. If we want Nirodha Parinama to happen, if we want to transform the mind to a place of tranquility, we need to encourage the Nirodha Samskara. That means we need to take time. We need to deliberately do some actions or do some practices that will bring the mind to a place of peace and tranquility. You see, only then we can strengthen the Nirodha Samskara. And when we make the Nirodha Samskara stronger and stronger, there comes a time when the Nirodha Samskara can rival the strength of the Utthana Samskara and perhaps even exceed it. There comes a tipping point where the Nirodha Samskara becomes stronger. And that is when Patanjali says the Nirodha Parinama happens. The transformation towards tranquility happens. And this is the beautiful sutra that captures the mechanism of inner transformation, specifically the Nirodha Parinama. So let me quickly chant this sutra. This is from the third chapter of the Yoga Sutras. This is the ninth sutra of the third chapter. व्युत्थान निरोध संस्कारयोः अभिभव प्रादुर्भावौ निरोध क्षणचित्तान्वयो निरोध परिणामः. So this nirodha parinama, transforming a turbulent mind to a tranquil mind, has to deal with vyuthana nirodha samskara yoho. So there is a vyuthana samskara that we saw in the previous slide, and the nirodha samskara. They are in opposition to each other. When we strengthen the nirodha samskara, so that it can tip the balance to the other side. So right now, majority of the time, the mind is turbulent. And Arjuna says the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, after he listens to Sri Krishna's teachings on meditation, how to quiet the mind. So Arjuna says, "Oh Krishna, I don't think my mind is ready for meditation because it is so unruly. My mind is so unruly," he says. How can you expect to quiet the mind? If I request the mind to be quiet, it doesn't listen to me. It is like the wind. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna, pramati balavadridam, he says. Tasyaham nigraham manye, vayuriva sudushkaram, like vayu, like fierce wind, like a hurricane. My mind is so fierce. How can I bring tranquility? I don't think it is possible. So that's what he says. Because the Vyuthana Samskara has taken over. It is so strong in comparison with the Nirodha Samskara. Nirodha Samskara is weaker. So the solution is that Krishna says, don't worry, O Arjuna, it is not as difficult as you think. All you need is Abhyasa, practice, and Vairagya, which is dispassion or detachment. Just do your practices whether you see immediate results or not. That is what Vairagya is. So Krishna says, Asamshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Grihyate. Samshayam Mahabaho. No doubt the mind is turbulent, O Arjuna, but it can be brought under control. It can be brought to a place of tranquility with practice and dispassion. And the same teaching is echoed in the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali. He says, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha, through practice and dispassion. He uses the same words, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. So that is the power of our practice to strengthen the Nirodha Samskara. So let us look at it in a little more detail so that we get a deeper understanding of this phenomenon, the mechanics of inner transformation, and what we can do practically to achieve this transformation. Okay, so in order to produce this parinama, in order to produce this transformation, Patanjali says you need something called krama. Krama means a single step that takes you towards your destination, that takes you towards your goal of inner transformation. For example, We want our mind to be tranquil and quiet. But right now, my mind is agitated. There is a lot of turbulence. What can I do to strengthen the, the Nirodha Samskara? What can I do so that the mind becomes a little more quiet? We are not trying to achieve the full tranquility or to be in that place of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. No, that is not our final goal right now. In this immediate moment, what can I do to make a small change? That is what Krama is. Krama means take one small step towards the goal, and that's it. And you do the same practice tomorrow. Do something that will take you one step towards the transformation. And keep doing that. Let that be your abhyasa. Let that be your practice. Every day, you do a little bit of sadhana that takes you towards the transformation. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Swalpamapi, even a tiny bit of practice gives extraordinary results. Don't underestimate the power of even a drop of water in the ocean. Even a little bit of practice can lay the foundation for extraordinary personal growth, for extraordinary transformation to happen. So never underestimate the power of krama. Krama produces the final transformation. So kramanyatvam parinamanyatve hetuhu. Patanjali says how to create that inner transformation. The solution is krama, one single step. So when we sit for meditation, and mind is turbulent right now, but during the 20 minutes that we sit for meditation, perhaps the mind has not reached that place of the highest samadhi, but the mind has become a little more quiet. That is all we need to do today. That is all that is expected from our abhyasa. And when we keep doing that, we are going to see in a few moments, in a few slides, that the power of compounding kicks in, compound interest. We build up on our sadhana. The power of our sadhana will create a fresh perspective from which we do our sadhana the next day. And this power of compounding will take us to that final transformation, to the final destination much faster. In fact, it's not going to take years of practice. It's just maybe some few months of practice, and then you can see the visible change in the state of awareness during the course of the day. Okay, so kramanyatvam parinamanyatve hetuhu. Never underestimate the power of a single drop of water. In fact, there is a statistic that I read recently that most of the water leak, the majority of the water leak in any city is because people don't hear the sound of little bit drops of water that is leaking from the taps. You see, if the water is pouring with a gushing sound, if the sound is very obvious, then you can immediately fix it. Just go there and close the tap. But when it is flowing little bit at a time, when it is inaudible, that is when we waste a lot of water. But the point here is even the single drop of water can accumulate to produce a big change, can accumulate to produce an ocean. An ocean is made up of so many single drops of water. So this transformation that takes place when the Nirodha Samskara exceeds the power of the Vyuthana Samskara, this tipping point is the moment of transformation, just like a seesaw. So in the seesaw, you have two forces, and one force is slightly stronger than the other. And when the other side gains more strength, there is a tipping point. Things change. A turbulent mind immediately transforms into a tranquil mind. So this tipping point happens with krama by krama. So all we do is our abhyasa. Every day we keep showing up for our practice. And in due course of time, there is a tipping point that happens. And on that day, it's a magical day in a yogi's life because the mind is no longer turbulent. The mind has now become tranquil because the Nirodha Samskara is now stronger. And in fact, this process of how transformation is created by tipping point, by taking small steps towards the tipping point, is explored more extensively. I would highly encourage reading this book. It aligns so beautifully with what Patanjali teaches with the parinamas and the krama, how small steps create huge transformation. The tipping point. It's a best-selling book, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. Okay, so we can think of the parinama, the transformation, as happening during the course of our practice. In fact, it is said that 99% of the transformation process takes place even before we see any evidence of it. The reason I'm mentioning this is sometimes people get discouraged. They practice meditation every day for 6 months, and then they discover, oh, my mind is still the same old turbulent mind. I don't see any change. The mind has not seen any transformation. But don't get discouraged, because remember, 99% of the transformation takes place even before we see any evidence of it. We are strengthening the Nirodha Samskara with every day's practice. And the day the Nirodha Samskara becomes stronger, then you will experience that magic. So, for example, when we heat water, so this is a very beautiful example that I like to illustrate this point. When you're heating water and you want to boil the water into water vapor, the transformation, the evaporation or the transformation does not happen until the water reaches 100 degrees Celsius, right? There is no visible change that you see until the temperature is reached. It doesn't mean that all the heat that we supply to that water is going for a waste. It is not like that at all. In fact, every ounce of heat that we transfer to that water creates the ultimate transformation. It creates the transformation. The water changes form from liquid to vapor form. So the point here is, we may not see any evidence that the practice is working, but Patanjali guarantees that it is making a change somewhere within. And when we accumulate krama by krama, step by step, this practice, then there comes a time when a profound transformation takes place. The mind will become tranquil sooner or later. So don't get discouraged. Okay. Now, when we talk about practice, Patanjali gives us a very beautiful guidance on what are the 4 ingredients of a high quality practice. Because it is through practice that we are strengthening our Nirodha Samskara. We are encouraging the habit of the mind to become centered so that it can settle down with the self. So, how should we design our practice? What are the things to keep in mind for our daily sadhana? And for that, Patanjali has given 4 ingredients. And this is from the first chapter of the Yoga Sutras. And the sutra goes, Satu dirghakala nairantarya satkara sevito dridhabhumihi. So what he says is, for the Abhyasa or the practice to become effective and very powerful, you need 4 ingredients, namely dirghakala is the first ingredient. That means you have to practice for a long time. It is not just a weekend thing. You see, it's not just, okay, I will practice Saturday and Sunday, and the rest of the days I don't have time. It's not like that at all. It's a practice that we do for a long time. It's a long-term commitment towards Abhyasa, dirghakala. And then the second ingredient is nairantarya. Nairantarya means without taking a break, doing it consistently every day, rather than giving into temptation for some excuse or the other. Oh, July 4th, it's a holiday, so let me give a holiday for my yoga practice. No. In fact, during holidays, we have more time to practice yoga sadhana. So the point is, without giving a holiday, without taking a break, the practice should be done consistently. That is nairantarya. And then the third ingredient is the practice should be satkara. Satkara means the practice should be performed with reverence. honor and respect. There is a feeling of gratitude to the practice, gratitude to all the masters of the yoga tradition. So it is not just a physical practice, it is a spiritual practice. We are also invoking our deepest self, the spirit within us, to participate in the practice. It is not just the practice for the body, it is not just a mechanical or a physical practice, it is a spiritual practice. And to invoke that spiritual aspect, we make the practice reverential, prayerful. With gratitude, we perform this practice. And the last ingredient is asevito. Asevitaha means to do the practice as a way of service. You are serving the mind body complex with your abhyasa. So far, the body and mind have been serving you. Now we are taking the time during the abhyasa to express our gratitude and to serve the body and mind. So with this attitude, we perform our abhyasas, these practices. So these are the four ingredients: dirghakala, long time; nairantarya, without a break; satkara, to do the practice with honor and respect; and asevitaha, practice it with complete attitude of service. And then dridhabhumihi, the results are firmly grounded, firmly established. The tranquil state of mind will be firmly established when we incorporate these four ingredients of a high quality practice. So the power of compounding. When we do our abhyasa today, then after we do the abhyasa, we are actually a different person. Or rather, the mind is different. There is a little bit of change that has happened in the mind. So with that new state of mind, we practice the next day's abhyasa. You see? So we are compounding based on our accumulated practice, accumulated abhyasa. And the power of compounding, you can easily see that. For example, to use the language of mathematics, if you strive to do 1% better every day, and if you do that for a full year, 365 days, 1% every day, if you dedicate towards your vision, your goals, your objectives, your sadhana, and so forth, then after 1 year, you see the actual transformation, the actual growth is 3,700%. So if you want to express this in terms of percentage, it is 3,600 or 3,700%. So that is how much a power of a single step, when it is compounded over time, how much gains that we see. On the other hand, if we laze out and if we do 1% less every day and look at what is the outcome here, it is not very encouraging, right? So the point is, even if we choose to do a little bit of practice, remember, swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That's what Patanjali says. Little bit of practice is extraordinarily valuable. It is extraordinarily powerful. And in fact, Patanjali says the same thing in the Yoga Sutras as well. He says, Mrudu madhyadi matratvat tatopi visheshaha. Mrudu, even a gentle practice, even a little bit of practice, gentle practice, is visheshaha. Vishesha, very special. And so don't let go of your practice. Okay. And in fact, this science of krama, creating profound inner transformation, is used in many systematic yoga practices. For example, the practice that I do every day, my yoga sadhana, is based on vinyasa krama. Vinyasa krama. Here, we create sequences of practices, sequences of asanas, pranayama, and so forth. So each step, each next step in the sequence builds up on whatever we have practiced so far. So it's a step-by-step unfolding of progress in the body and mind to transform the body and mind. So this is the Vinyasa Krama practice. And in fact, when we think about the power of a single step, it is very beautifully depicted in the Vamana Avatara. So one of the names of Vamana is Trivikrama. With 3 steps, he conquered the entire universe. So although the physical form of Vamana was small. So his physical, if we look at his form, we may think, oh, 3 steps will be a very tiny piece of land. Whereas when the power of the divine is with you, in other words, when we invoke the inner divinity in our practice, then each step is not just the step in the physical form, but it is assisted by the power of the divine. And my teacher used to give a very beautiful analogy. So, in the airport, you have these moving walkways, right? These moving walkways. And sometimes there is a joy in stepping on this walkway and walking on it. So, your one single step will be magnified because the walkway itself is moving. So, like that is the power of the krama. When the krama, each single step is towards your swadharma, towards your goal to express the divinity from within. So it becomes like the step of Vamana. So Trivikrama, with 3 small steps, you can conquer the entire universe because the divine is with you. We are manifesting the divinity. 3 victorious steps. That's the meaning of Trivikrama. 3 victorious steps. And so to close this session, I'd like to remind ourselves of this famous quote, Neil Armstrong. So the single step that heralds a dramatic transformation. So one small step for mankind and one giant leap, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. The same thing can be said for one small krama and a giant parinama of inner transformation. So that is what yoga has to offer. So thank you for your enthusiastic listening. I'm going to stop the slide share here, and perhaps we can have some question and answer session. Thank you so much.
Shri Ram G. And although I joined in between, this is Pragya here. Can you see me? Hear me? And sorry, I think Ankur got stuck somewhere. So we do have a couple of question answers. So what would you prefer? Do you want me to allow some students, participants who would want to ask you questions as panelists and they can directly ask you the questions, or
Sure.
would
I
you
already
like
see some questions on the Q&A board.
Yeah. So will you take them or should I read them
maybe
out?
we can open to
The
the
panelists
audience if they want to ask live on the webinar.
Sure. I'll do that.
And then we will go through this set of questions as well.
Sure. Kamlesh Kapoor. She has already raised her hand. I'll promote her to. Just give me a minute. There is some. Okay, Kamlesh ji, you can unmute yourself and ask him the question.
Am I all right now?
Yes, you are.
Yes, we can hear you, Kamlesh ji.
I've been practicing yoga for the last 20 years or so, continuously, under different acharyas. One of them institution is Ananda in the Himalayas, and I did the courses there. Now, my point is this, that at a cellular level, there is a transformation also. When you are explaining that it is on the mental level, mind को स्थिर करना है. I personally feel that one can also bring a transformation at a cellular level, where the relaxation can bring physical changes and improve the blood flow.
You are right. And we didn't have time to explore that in today's webinar, but we will take that up during the course, the Yoga of the Yoga Sutras course. And you have rightly pointed out that it is not just at the level of the mind, just like we should not stop yoga just at the level of the body, but explore the inner dimensions, the transforming the mind, and then transforms the samskaras and the vasanas that are even more subtle than the mind. And in fact, one of the picture they give in the Yoga Shastras and the Upanishads is that we can think of possessing three bodies. So the first is the physical body, which is called the Sthula Sharira. The second is the Sukshma Sharira, which is the subtle body, which includes the mind and the 10 senses, the 5 senses of perception and 5 senses of action. And then beyond the Sukshma Sharira, we have the Karana Sharira. And I think this is the level of transformation that you are referring to. In the Karana Sharira, which is the causal body, that is where all the vasanas and the samskaras reside. And Patanjali uses the word karmashaya, the repository of all the karmas from our past lifetimes and so forth. They reside in this space. And we can create transformations even at this very deep level, which is even deeper than the level of the mind. And he talks about that, and we will examine those topics during the course.
Thank you. So, in other
Thank you,
words,
Kamlesh.
is both Suksham and Karan Sharira. This yoga is Karan Sharira, right?
You have practices across all levels. It is not just meditation, because why else should Maharishi Patanjali prescribe asanas? It is part of the Ashtanga Yoga. Patanjali's most famous teachings in the Yoga Sutras is the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8-limbed yoga, which we can think of as a holistic practice of yoga, which attends to the physical level, subtle level, and the causal level also. In fact, it also helps us deal with the outer level, how we engage with the world, the yamas and niyamas. So it is a holistic practice. We should not ignore the body, because if we want to deal directly with the mind, what happens is when you sit with eyes closed, for most people, when they sit with eyes closed without doing asanas, 2 minutes into meditation, they become tormented by the discomforts of the body. You see, so, oh, my low back hurts, my knee hurts, I'm unable to sit in the same still position for 10 minutes, there is body ache and so forth. So the mind doesn't settle down in meditation. But if we have practiced some asanas before sitting down for meditation, then in fact, there are two benefits for asanas, sthiram and sukham. Sthira sukham asana. Sthiram or sthiryam brings stability to the body, so that the body you can park the body, like you park your car and you go enjoy the scenery. You don't have to worry about the car. You see, like that you park this vehicle called the body and dive deep into the inner scenery of meditation. And another aspect of doing asanas is it promotes lightness of the body. That's what sukham is. And in the Hatha Yoga Pratipika, another word is used, angalaghavam. Angalaghavam means the body feels so light that you can forget the body. In fact, one of the definition of physical health, how do you know you're physically healthy? Ayurveda gives a very beautiful test. If you can forget your body, you are healthy. If you can forget your body, you are healthy. You see, if you cannot forget the body because the body has so many aches and pains, it is trapping our awareness. That means we have to do some practices to bring that lightness. So the point is, when we combine asanas and meditation, and in fact pranayama, you include all the 8 limbs of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, you see how profoundly we elevate the quality of meditation. After doing asanas, the body will not disturb you. After doing pranayama, the lethargy in the mind will not disturb you. The mind will be alert. It will not fall asleep during meditation. You see? So each step, each ingredient in the Ashtanga Yoga helps towards creating this inner transformation. We should never ignore the practices for the body. You need all of these elements together. And in fact, I would say here is the key teaching, if you want to express it in just one sentence. The combination of postures, breath work, and meditation is extraordinarily powerful. And when we introduce this combination in your life, you create the foundation for extraordinary personal growth and exuberant health to blossom in your life. You see, this combination works in synergy. When you combine these different aspects of these practices, it is not just adding 1 plus 1 equals 2. No, it is synergy. The combination is more powerful, more beneficial than the mere sum of its parts. It's like saying 1 plus 1 equals 3. Like buy 2, get 1 free. You see, that's what happens when we combine practices for the body, practices for the mind, and practices for the Karana Sharira as well. That is the power of Yoga Sadhana.
Thank
So
you.
thank you once again, Kamlesh ji.
Yeah, there is one of the slides you got mathematical explanation of progressive steps. And I missed the entire thing. I mean, I don't remember. Can I have that slide?
Definitely. In fact, this presentation will also be uploaded in YouTube at a later time. But definitely, let me go back to that slide where Patanjali has talked about the power of Krama to create the inner transformation.
The progressive
So,
change.
so this is the slide. Kramanyatvam parinamanyatve hetuhu. What is it that creates the inner transformation? It is Krama. The transformation is produced by a sequence of small steps called Krama. In fact, when I type Krama on the computer, I have to be very careful because the computer is always insists that I made a spelling error and it autocorrects to karma.
Yeah.
So Krama and karma are very different words. They're related, but Krama means one single step. Atomic action. You can think of it as an atomic action.
Krama is actually sequence.
Sequence, yes. Krama, following a particular sequence, step by step. What is the next step in this sequence? That is Krama. I think we should proceed to
Other questions
start.
also, Shri Ram Ji, and also because I think Kamlesh ji's voice is not very clear. Are you able to hear her properly?
Yeah, I think the audio is a little bit
Disrupted.
breaking a little bit.
Yeah, and we are almost at the top of the hour, so we can take some other questions as well.
Just show me that slide, please.
Yeah, this is the slide. Kramanyatvam
We will be
parinamanyatve
sharing
hetuhu.
this.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. To the purpose of technique I have.
Okay, so let me take a couple of questions from the Q&A board here.
Yes.
Are there any recommended book to purchase? Any prerequisite to read before the course? There is absolutely no prerequisite. And even if you do not have any experience practicing yoga, that is okay too. And what I have seen is during the course, people get inspired to do yoga practices. So even if you have not practiced yoga before, don't worry. This course will inspire you to yoga practice. And if you have already been practicing yoga, this will deepen the power of yoga sadhana, because when we do the practices with the understanding what Patanjali is saying about these practices, the combination of wisdom and practice is extraordinarily powerful. So that's what we will see. With the understanding of the Yoga Sutras, our sadhana, the quality of the sadhana, you will see a profound increase. It will elevate the quality of our practice. So there are no prerequisites. And the recommended books, we do have about 4 or 5 books that we recommend if you wish. You don't need to purchase a book. But if you would like to deepen your study, we recommend 4 or 5 books that we send out by email to the participants who are registered. But if I have to single out one book, a scholarly book, not just an introduction book, but a scholarly book on the Yoga Sutras, I'd highly recommend the work by Swami Hariharananda Aranya. Swami Hariharananda Aranya, he was a contemporary of Swami Vivekananda. And he wrote a great epic commentary on Vyasa's commentary of the Yoga Sutras. So it's a two-level commentary. The Yoga Sutras, one of the earliest commentary was by sage Vyasa, and a commentary on Vyasa Bhashya, Swami Hariharananda Aranya has written. And I think the title of the book is the aphorisms of Patanjali's Yoga Aphorisms or something. You can actually search for it on Amazon or your favorite bookstore. Okay. I'll take one more question from the Q&A board. The current presentation, is it available? Yes, I think it will be uploaded to YouTube. And then
I can take the next question, Shri Ram Ji, about the
Sure.
scholarship. Yeah. So see, we do have partial scholarships for people on various, geographical locations across the world, some for the US students also. We would request you all to fill in the scholarship form, which you will receive along with the video recording of this webinar. And for any other queries, all of you can also write to info@hua.edu. So both the emails will be sent to you once this video recording is uploaded.
yes, I see one more question about any solution to depression state of mind. Are there any yoga sadhana that will help relieve, depressed states of mind? 25% as posted in some news, US population suffers of similar condition. So that is the question. And yes, when we do a well-rounded sequence of yoga sadhana, which includes asanas, pranayama, meditation, and so forth, then it creates a feeling of well-being, not just at the physical level, but also at the mental level. Now, yoga practices can also be used as chikitsa. Chikitsa means a targeted therapy. So if there's any specific condition or specific ailment in the body or in the mind that we want to help relieve, we can actually craft a yoga therapy program. And that way we are using yoga as a chikitsa, not just for general well-being, but for a targeted objective where we want to bring relief from a specific condition of the body and mind. And therefore, there are yoga therapy protocols for example, for some to deal with problems in the mind and so forth, including depression. And chikitsa, usually it is personalized. We cannot just give a general sequence. Okay, this sequence is going to help everybody. So because the root cause of that problem can be different for different people. Just to give an example, if we take a physical ailment, say low back pain, the low back pain is just a manifestation or a symptom, but the root cause can be very different. Sometimes the root cause is because people have a big belly and the lower back has to carry that weight. Sometimes the root cause is stress. When the mind is stressed and the body will react to that stress in different ways. And one manifestation is lower back pain. So you see, there are many, many different causes that create the same manifestation of low back pain. So when we understand the root cause, we need to personalize the chikitsa, the therapy protocol for that specific individual. Okay, what would be the format of the course? So the course, it has 11 sessions and we meet every Saturday morning, US time. And each session, we will explore a very specific theme. To give an example, the first session would be the definition of yoga. And after that, we will explore what is Kriya Yoga. What is Patanjali's teachings on Kriya Yoga? We will dedicate one full session for that. And then we'll dedicate 2 or even 3 sessions to explore Ashtanga Yoga, because Ashtanga Yoga is a big topic, the 8 limbs of yoga. We will dedicate 3 sessions for that. And we'll also dedicate sessions for inner practices, like the subject that we covered today about the inner transformations. And we'll go deeper into this analysis of inner transformation. We will talk about what is called samyama, where all three transformation happen at the same time. So we will take this teaching to the next level that Patanjali does in the third chapter of the Yoga Sutras. So the point is, each session will be thematic. We will explore one theme and understand what are the main tenets of Yoga Sutras on that subject. So that will be the format of the course.
Shri Ram Ji, in continuation to this, maybe you can answer Palakam Vaniji's question. It is also about the course, the workload.
Yes. So the question is, how much is the workload from the course during the week? Are there some assignments every week or just the end of the semester? So to answer this question, the final grade is based only on the last submission. There is a final assignment. So the final grade is based only on the last assignment. We do have homeworks every session. That is, at the end of a session, the homework is to jot down 3 bullet points or 3 main points that stuck in your mind during that session. If you were to summarize the 3 key points, highlights of the session, then what would you write? So that is the homework. That is for everyone's understanding to go deeper into the study, but it will not be graded. It is just for the benefit of learning. So as you see, the course is not very demanding. We don't want to add one more burden to the already lot of duties and responsibilities that we have. In fact, yoga seeks to lighten the burden that we carry. So to answer your question, the final grade depends only on the final assignment.
We have, you would like to answer what is a good book to read on Patanjali's Yoga Sutra? That the one you already answered, right?
Yes, and we will share the names of a
The
few
name,
more
yes.
books. But
Okay.
the main one that I mentioned before is Swami Hariharananda Aranya's book. It's free
Padma
time.
ji has her hand raised. Let me allow her to ask you a question. Ms. Padma ji, you can unmute yourself.
Namaste.
Namaste, Padmaji. We can hear you.
Say, yeah. Quick question with the Trivikrama Avatara, can we look at it from the perspective of the 3 states of mind?
Yes, that is a very another very beautiful way to interpret. So each step corresponds to victory of the body first, and the victory of the mind, and the victory of the samskaras and the karana sharira. So just like we have 3 bodies, the physical body, the subtle body, and the causal body. That is an interpretation as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
was just curious about that when you talked about it. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Padma ji. And we have Prashant ji. Maybe we can take a couple more questions, Shri Ram ji. Prashant ji, you can unmute yourself.
Pranam. So my question is about why is being a Hatha Yoga is popular today instead of being the direct practices of Raj Yoga, maybe Nad Yoga or something else? Because it is all the practices are for the meditation, but why are people are catching toward the physical practices in Hatha Yoga especially?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because perhaps most of the famous or the pictures that we see of yoga is about asanas, and perhaps most people mistakenly assume that most of yoga is about postures or asanas, which is not the case. For example, in the Yoga Sutras, there are a total of 196 sutras divided into 4 chapters. Of the 196 sutras, only 3 of them talk about asanas. So it's a very small portion of the Yoga Sutras where asanas are involved. So yoga is much more. There are many inner practices and so forth. And when we talk about Hatha Yoga, the Raja Yoga, the nomenclature, again, they don't have very set definite boundaries. Hatha Yoga contains Nada Yoga. The final chapter of the Hatha Yoga Pratipika talks about Nada Yoga. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, we don't see either word. There is no mention of Raja Yoga. There is no mention of Hatha Yoga. We don't see both words. What is Raja Yoga? Of course, one traditional interpretation of Raja Yoga is the royal path, but there's a deeper meaning for Raja Yoga. The word Raja comes from the root word Rajr. It's one of the dhatus that you see in the dhatu pata of Panini, Rajr. Rajr means light. Rajr Deeptau. So you can think of Raja Yoga as the yoga of light or yoga of enlightenment. So when we say Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya, lead me from darkness to light. So clear away the mental fog so that the brilliant state of the mind can reveal itself. That is what Raja Yoga does.
We have what kind of final assignment? I guess you have already answered this. It is
Yeah,
an
the
essay.
final assignment will be an essay of 500 words. You can pick any topic that we covered during the 11 sessions and write on it. And in fact, the final submission need not be in the written form. You can also record it speaking. You can speak it out and upload your audio recording, or you can even draw pictures. So you can be creative. You can, if you're an artist, you can convey some of these teachings in the form of cartoons or pictures. So in whatever form you would like to express what you have learned, maybe one topic that we learned during this 11 sessions. So that will be your submission. So as you see, there's a lot of flexibility. As they say, yoga gives flexibility, right? So the final assignment, it is flexible. It is up to you how you want to present it.
One last question, and okay, this is okay. I will be okay. This is for you to call this person, Sarla Sojani.
Okay, I think we covered the
Most of the questions we have, right?
yes.
And so we can close now, Shri Ramji.
Yes, we can close the session. Once again, I'd like to
Thank you.
express my gratitude and thanks. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar, and thanks for all your enthusiastic questions and your enthusiastic attention to this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shri Ramji. It was a lovely presentation, and we will share for all the participants. We will share the recording, the registration link, the names of the books that Shri Ramji would want to share with you all. And it will be sent to you in, say, about 2 days from now. As soon as we have the webinar recording, we'll send the recording and the registration link. So hope to see most of you taking his course. It will be definitely enriching. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shri Ramji, once again. A pleasure. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste,
Dhanyawada.
everyone.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumedha. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste, Shri Ramji. Thank you.
Namaste.